And that's what they do up here. And at dusk, the light glinting off of their wings could look like lights or something else. So all of those years, I never thought any more about this. And when this lady said that on the radio to me, I went, wait a minute. And so I thought these signals could be something, that our government was doing, that they were, submarines or something out there. But then I happened to be on Dr. Bob Hieronymus's show from Maryland, and he said, Merrel, I want to play you something. He played me this Billy Meyer tape from, I think, 1970 from Switzerland, I think it was, and his dog is barking in the background, and this Billy Meyer said that there was a UFO hovering over his house, and he recorded the sound it was making on his tape recorder. Well, Dr. Bob played that for me. It sounded almost identical to what this radio operator from Malibu sent me now. So I went, okay, what's going on here? And then when we started playing a lot of messages to the dome, from the dome on radio stations, it started turning off their broadcast boards and actually knocking them off the air. This happened with a station in Sacramento, Ken Hudnall in Austin, Texas. It went off, and Mac Maloney near Boston, it went off. And I think it affected Joanne Summerscale's broadcast when I did an interview. And I thought, this is odd. And I found out that the stations that it seemed to affect the most had newer digital broadcast boards. The ones that were older stations with analog equipment, it didn't affect. So I have a friend that's one of the chief engineers at George Lucas's Skywalker Ranch in Marin, Bob Edwards. So I sent these signals to him and told him what was happening. I said, Bob, what's going on here? So he ran it through a spectrometer and also on an oscilloscope, and he says, well, what you've got here is 3 different signals. There's a lower carrier signal that sounds like a train on railroad tracks. Then there's the high-pitched message above that. And he said in that particular spot where it was causing a problem with the radio stations, there's a higher pitched sound on the top that's inaudible to human ears. And at the near the end of Messages from the Dome, there's a sound there that sounds like a high-pitched lady's voice yodeling. And that's where the problem is. So they've never really, I've had several other people analyze it, and nobody can figure out what it is, but maybe they're saying something in there that we just can't decipher right now.
Wow. Well, Bob Edwards was the Skywalker sound editor, right? Because you mentioned his name. He had the mixer for the Skywalker sound. Is that right? You want to explain that, your connection to Bob Edwards?
Well, I met him through William E. McEwen, who produced my Return to Moo album, who also discovered Steve Martin and produced a lot of his movies, and he also produced the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band and the Allman Brothers. And Bob actually came down and worked on my Return to Moo album in William McEwen's studio in Santa Barbara, and we got to be good friends. And then when William decided to retire and closed up his beautiful studio that he had, Bob got a job with George Lucas, and he's a very good engineer and very, articulate. And I figured if anybody could figure this out, what was going on, he would. But he told me that there were 3 different sounds in that. It wasn't just one signal. And after I listened to it closer, I could hear what he meant. And when you listen to these 2 songs, you can hear, at one point you just hear the carrier signal, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then you hear woo, and we can't hear whatever is above that. But Bob said the one in the middle that you can hear is the message. But
amazing.
Nobody's deciphered it yet.
Oh, wow. You can't just drop a name Bob Edwards around somebody like me after being in the music industry. I'm like, OMG, because I love engineers, and I really give so much credit to them for, doing what they do. But my gosh, we've got to put him in our Hall of Fame, Janet, in the UFO Association, with us sound engineers, because of this discovery. And we're getting around to getting organized with all these people, sort of like, I guess, this other lady in the ET biz. But with the UFO Association, Merrel, we'll have to put you in our Hall of Fame for musicians, because we've got to create those people that were inspired, I believe, with the ET music and sound. And then now Bob Edwards could be one we could have known for being able to decipher certain sounds in our music and engineering, whether it's ASCAP or BMI or whomever, keeping up with who's who as a producer, singer, songwriter, educator out of, music and films. But my gosh,
so you knew his name? You knew his name?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's on lots of albums, and he's on the credits of a lot of the George Lucas movies.
I love George Lucas. Oh my gosh. My kids remember when they were little, we had to go see Star Wars 18 times.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, I said, 18? They're like, yeah, we gave up after that, Mom. We just, 18 times. I was just enthralled with that. I was infected by seeing Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but I had to go to the hospital after I saw that and get Benadryl. But this stuff is just so much a part of me that I'm just
I wish you could play one of those songs.
Sound.
Is there any way you can...
Are anything loaded now?
Anything loaded from signals from
Malibu? I apologize to everybody. It says processing audio file, messages from the dome, then the same one. But they gave me apologized from the engineering department in New York with this British lady that gives me a recording. They said they were having technical difficulties in engineering and they were sorry, but they've only loaded maybe 1/10, and all 3 are just sitting here. They load it immediately, with a little green sign that everybody's used to, or the little string, zap, for an MP3 or 4, immediately. So they loaded, but it's inside the engineering department of the, in New York, we use Mr. Levy's recording sound studio in New York for Blog Talk Radio that he set up himself. It's very well known. It's very well respected, but for some reason they're not accustomed to having a lot of people play music, I don't think. So I guess we got them in overwhelm, but they did give me an apologized type of audio saying, we're sorry, we can't load your music. But I'm sorry, but we'll do something in the future. Definitely.
The one I did the other night on Tuesday with Mark Eddy and Barbara DeLong, they played everything, and it was like instant. Maybe, like I said, Janet can, if she's constructing the YouTube version, she can, put some of these songs in where we're talking about them.
Yeah, I'm going to put all the, I'll put this recording, I'll put all these pictures so that they kind of feed through.
Yeah, she can embed them.
We'll make sure we have all the pictures.
Oh, the other thing
we'll make it.
I need to mention, too, where we were just talking about our problem, you could put a song over that. But what I was going to mention is that people are sending me and have sent me lights and things that they've seen at Malibu that they've videoed on their cell phones. And I did a video. I did a video for Signals from Malibu and one from Messages from the Dome, and I used pictures and things that people have sent me from that area in it. We performed it on my backlot stage with my band, and then we dissolved in these pictures that people have sent me. So you can go on YouTube and just type in my name and Signals from Malibu and Messages from the Dome, and those two videos will come up.
Wow, we've got so much data going on. Yes, definitely. We will definitely have to feature you. It's just we've got so much information to download on you. And, folks, this is exciting because we're making history on Valentine's Day with Merrel Fankhauser and Merrel. It looks like Merrel, so that's why I keep saying Merrel, right? Just one L.
Yeah.
But it's Merrel like Merle Haggard, which I should get with my southern accent. I lost my accent when I was in the military, but I got it back when I lived.
Well, you know, my Kentucky accent every once in a while comes out. And if I'm around somebody from the South, before you know it, I'm talking just like them.
Yeah, you guys are contagious.
We don't know that we have an accent because everybody down here talks like us, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't hear a difference from me in Gulf Breeze, Florida, believe it or not. So I'm really shocked because, you know, I've lived in Kentucky. Now, it's a little thicker in various parts of Kentucky, but, you know, we're from the Appalachian area. But I was born in Monroe, Louisiana, and Janet was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So, and you were born in Louisville, Kentucky, or right outside of Louisville or in Louisville?
In Louisville, and in a hospital, and we lived, you know, sort of more in the country. I remember, you know, there was woods at the end of my street. I was on Adair Street, and I went to a little neighborhood school that went up to the 5th grade.
Do you remember the name of that school?
Yeah, Adair Street School, Adair. And my last teacher was a great teacher. His name was Mr. Little.
Oh, Mr. Little. Well, thank you for that, because I love to get anything like, especially we love our teachers and we love our schools. I went to Plum Street Elementary in the 1st and Mitchell Elementary in the 2nd, and then Ransom in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. But I remember all my teachers and all my school names, and I think that's special because we love our teachers. You remember all your teachers, and I don't know, after you get to high school, there's so many, you can't. But in the 7th grade, I remember Miss Davis was my homeroom teacher. Where do you stop remembering your teachers just for the historical purposes? Is it like junior high and high school? Because I quit after
remember
1 year.
some of them in high school, but you're right, it gets foggy in high school.
I don't know
remember more of the elementary school teachers. Oh, and just as a note, I'm next month I'm doing an interview. I've been on his show before. Greg Martin from the Kentucky Headhunters, who's still in Kentucky.
How about that?
He has a show there. And he did the same thing you did. He asked me where I went to school in Louisville and, you know, what I did. And I remember fishing and catching crawdads in a creek at the end of our road that went into a woods that had a creek that went through it. And, that was something.
Well, see, if it wasn't for... Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. It was something...
it was something... growing up like that, I'm glad I got that experience. And then it was just wonderful that my dad brought us to California, and it just evolved from here. And I think that's why I've done so many different music styles. You know, I don't get stuck in one genre. It just comes through me, and I don't question it. I just go with it rather than, you know, some of the labels. I remember in the 60s, everybody was afraid the band was going to the record label was going to turn them into a bubblegum band and want them to just play this certain kind of music, you know. And I remember some of the labels once you got a hit with one style of music, they wanted you to just keep cranking that out. And I was lucky. I got to change